Yeah, you are co-host.
Right now.
You can do.
A very bright and promising morning to one and all present. On behalf of St.Ann's College, IIC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell, IQAC, and all the members of the organizing committee, I, Dr. Nagapurnima, member IIC, and Faculty Department of Business Administration, welcome you all on the National Education Day. Let me start first by wishing each one of you a very happy National Education Day. I welcome our beloved principal, Dr. Sister P. Amrita, Dean Academics and IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Smita Astana, Dean Administration, Ms. Veena Patange, Dean Student Affairs, Ms. Mahita, Ms. Santoshi, Dr. Venugopal Rao, IIC President, Ms. Shrikala, IIC Vice President, invited speaker, Professor K. Srinivas Garu, and all the attendees, a hearty welcome on the National Education Day. It is indeed an occasion that calls for celebration from each one of us. National Education Day is annually commemorated on account of birth anniversary of Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, our first education minister, and the Ministry of Education in the year 2008 announced Education Day, recalling Mr. Azad's contribution to the cause of education. St.Ann College firmly believes in providing value-based education, and the continuous efforts of the Institute during the pandemic just reinforced the ideology. As part of National Education Day, various competitions were held to celebrate the spirit of education and saw enthusiastic participation from students all across. I once again welcome you all and request Dr. Mary Francina to take us into prayer, followed by a welcome address by Dr. Venugopal Sir, Member, President, IIC.
Today's scripture portion is taken from Proverbs chapter 1, verses 1 to 9. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother, for they will be graceful ornament on your head and chains about your neck. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Thank you, Dr. Mary Francina. Now I welcome our IIC President, Dr. Venugopal Sir, to please address the gathering with a welcome note. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I am delighted and very happy to welcome today's honored guest, Professor K. Srinivas, Professor and Head, ICT and Project Management Unit, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, New Delhi, for today's event to be organized by IIC and IQAC of St. Ann's College to commemorate National Educational Day. the 11th November being observed every year throughout the country. I welcome you, sir. We also welcome my colleagues and the enthusiastic participants of the event and its activities. This event encompasses an invited talk on building competencies in blended teaching and learning, followed by promotional activities like quiz NEP 2020 and competition on portrait making of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad with an educational quote. Every year since 2008, November 11 is celebrated as National Educational Day to commemorate the birth anniversary of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, an educational reformer. He was independent India's first education minister, earlier a freedom fighter. He served the minister as minister from 47 to 58, 1947 to 1958. Some of the areas to be highlighted to mark the importance of the day include education for women, compulsory universal primary education and vocational education, free and fair education for all children till the age of 14 years, and making technical education affordable to common man. And also to make the people aware of the fact that education is one of the fundamental human rights bestowed to all citizens by our Constitution. Right to education entitles every citizen of India to receive formal training from a world-class of education institution. Education is one of the primary needs of a person that opens door to ample opportunities. It is not only for earning money, but for leading quality life with human face. Students must understand that they enrich themselves by sharing their knowledge with others who need and deserve. I conclude my address stating that the end of education is character. Now over to the organizers.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a welcoming note. Now, I request Dr. Poonam Sangal, who is a member IQAC and faculty Department of Nutrition, to take over the proceedings of the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am,
Hello?
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, a very good morning and a warm welcome to all of you to a talk on building competency in blended teaching and learning, organized by IIC in collaboration with IQAC St. Anne's College for Women. We are immensely delighted to have Professor K. Srinivas, Professor and Head, ICT and Project Management Unit, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, New Delhi, with us. Professor K. Srinivas holds a PhD degree in computer science and has been utilizing open source ICT tools and technologies in teaching and learning. He has more than 30 years of teaching, research, industry, and consultancy experience. He has also conducted several teacher training workshops, both at school education and higher education across the country. And he has published a number of articles on different aspects on university automation, e-governance, etc. He has also participated in many international forums and presented papers. And he has also been a member of several advisory committees and boards. We welcome you, sir. So before we begin with the session, I would like to mention a few instructions to the participants. Please mute your microphones and videos. Any queries, if you have, can be posted in the chat box and which will be addressed during the Q&A session. Sir, it's indeed my pleasure to welcome you today on this very special day and present the green greetings on behalf of the Institute. So please accept the green virtual green greetings. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Poonam. And good morning to all of you. And I congratulate all of you for this National Educational Day, which has been celebrated every year on 11th November. And it's indeed a great privilege to me to address the faculty as well as the students on one of the this part of this, and I express my sincere gratitude to the IIC and IQAC coordinators, Dr. Venugopal Garu, and the entire team who invited me to this session. Madam, can you please close the screen so that I can make my own presentation? Yeah. Before I should start making the presentation, I just want to emphasize once again the background. And this background talk, and this especially this talk, which I have been speaking since April 2020. This is almost more than 1,000 times I've spoken the same thing. Why there's so much importance on this? Let me give you a brief background of and whatever I have been speaking, I'm speaking from two fronts. One, as a teacher. Second, as a parent. Okay. My kids are also studying in college. So at the same time, I'm also doing this work as part of my teaching, learning, and assessment activities. Till 2020, around 15th of April, we have been teaching in a typical conventional classroom mode. And so the students are there in front of you. We have been teaching, lecturing, demonstrations, small group and large group activities, lab activities, and project work, so on and so forth. We have been doing that. And of course, students are also tuned to this type of teaching. Same thing with the teachers also. And to the extent possible, we have been using the technology during this part. Okay, there is one small instruction as a small correction, rather, I wish to share with you all. I'm not a person to wait till the end to answer your questions and queries. If you have any specific question which is related to my talk, you're free to post in the question answer session. Why I am not encouraging the people to use it on the microphone still, even after 2 years of delivering the lectures online, still we have not acquired the necessary competencies, how to speak. I'm sorry to say that. How to speak in the sense, I'm not saying that the vocabulary, the language, everything is fine. But suddenly somebody is speaking and suddenly other one also will raise the hands because we have a varied bandwidth. And we are all working from homes, and suddenly the door crash will come. You may be noticing in my room also. And after 15 minutes, my chai wala will come, sir, chai hona hai kya? And this kind of a thing. Then files used to come, the barking dogs, and all lot of things used to happen. So that's the reason I request, I am encouraging you to post the questions, anything in the question and answer or in the chat box. So that, if you do not post the questions, also don't mind, because I have around 40,000 trainees database I have since April. So I have so many questions are there, so many issues are there, so many challenges are there. I'll try to focus some of them whilst giving a talk on my lecture. That's what I ensure to do that. And this time, because this is a broad talk, so I confine myself to lecture and little bit of discussion, not demonstration, not hands-on. That will not be there. But generally, that is the 4-quadrant approach which I follow in my own classes and my own lectures also. But here, actually, I'll confine to the first 2 quadrants only. So coming back to that, the scenario, pre-COVID scenario, we are all, and suddenly, and of course, we have been using to the extent possible. And some of us, like me, I have been using this mode of teaching for quite some time, more than 14 plus years. Because I have different responsibilities, traveling length and breadth of this country, to so many other activities and all. So I not only I'm comfortable, whoever the students who have been working with me are also, I made them comfortable. That is more important to me rather than. So once when the first lockdown has been announced, we all started teaching whether we have trained or not trained, whether we have enough hardware, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. We got into this online lecturing mode. I'm not calling it as a online. There is no other specific word. It's an online lecturing mode. We got into that, and the moment suddenly we got into this mode, some of the teachers got adjusted, some of the teachers could not. And of course, whether we like it or not, the process was started and students also got into that. These issues and challenges will remain there. Sorry, I have a little bad throat. So what was happened when we started delivering the lectures in online mode, online classes rather, and a lot of specific requirements are there. It's not like simply speaking in front of the camera. But for me, I don't see a difference between speaking in front of the camera and taking a class of 2.5 hours. But everyone, it's not the case as such. Because in my case, I'll come to that part. What are the steps I've been doing, which binding the students and to making the students also accountable in my own classroom teaching. But it was not the case in many of our faculty across India. So what happened? Then students slowly started adjusting, and of course we started conducting, and we are using several methods: lecturing from one tool, orienting from one tool, interaction from one tool, conducting the assessment from so many things have been there, and slowly, steadily. Now, what was the thing happened after 1.5 years of teaching like this? Is now there is a lot of awareness. Okay. ज्ञान मिलना शुरू हो गया आजकल तो इंटरनेट पे इतना अच्छा ज्ञान मिल जाता है and everybody is talking about. So who is the receiving end? Teacher. Because earlier, when we are teaching, only students are there in front of us, and only maybe the principal or the vice chancellor or the heads of the department must be come to know that what the teachers are teaching. Now everybody, now what happened when our children are taking the classes, their parents must be watching, their spouse must be watching, their community must be watching, the people who are there in the department area, everybody started commenting about the teacher. Inki bhasha. And I was told in one of the workshop, and I was told, sir, you are only using single language, can it be bilingual? I said fine. And the day before yesterday, I was addressing one of the workshop. They said, sir, can you be multilingual? And when then they read out where I started, what is the, I don't know, that means the expectations have increased manyfold. You see the pressure on the resource person. I'm talking about the teacher. And not only the subject, not only the competencies, how they are behaving, and everything is being monitored. And monitoring happening from one side only, not the other side. Okay. And whereas, students can switch off the webcams and microphones, as Poonam has rightly mentioned that you can switch off your webcams and microphone. Neither Poonam can switch off the microphone, neither Srikala can switch off the microphone, neither Nagapurnima can switch off the microphone, nor I can switch off the microphone and webcams. Because हम तो पढ़ाने वाले, तो बाकी सब लोग पढ़ रहे हैं. So these are all some of the things. So we started getting into this mode. And subsequently, what was started getting into minds of the faculty as well as the students, there should be some other better way to do this kind of a business, because the way the pandemic still lingering on, I think nobody is claiming that it has gone out. So there should be some other best way to get into to start delivering us, to start teaching our own students. Then this idea of blended learning was flagged, which is a part of our new educational policy, which has been announced last year, just completed 1 year point. So what is important is everybody knows, हाँ जी हम तो use ही कर रहे हैं, कौन सी बड़ी बात है. I'm not saying that your side will say, and our part of place where I am working, this is the standard way people say, अरे कौन सी बड़ी बात है, हमारे बाएं हाथ का खेल. अरे जब बाएं हाथ का खेल है, everybody can able to do this, then why the things are not being happening the way it is being done? So because both of my son and daughter are pursuing the law, So I have been monitoring every day that how it is being taught. And it's basically a PPT is running on that, and 99% cases student does not know that what teacher is going to teach, and of course only the PowerPoint presentation, little bit of readings will be shared, and so on and so forth. So that is not the one which is being expected, because now the students got awareness, and every now the thanks to World Wide Web, and teacher is no more only information sharing kind of thing. So in this context, what is important for us is how do we mold ourselves so that our teaching could be impactful, engaging, motivating, and of course involving the students into the classroom teaching. And then at the same time, I don't know, I think some of you must have heard about my earlier lectures. I always use two small innovations. Nobody told me to innovate like this. Like, so I always used to say that number one is my lecture will be having four components: lecture, discussion, demonstration, and hands-on. So hands-on is not necessarily in front of me, they will do it, but they should do before the class and they should do after the class. And before coming to the class, there should be some kind of preparation is required, and I will see with a valid proof of evidence whether they have coming to that. So if you involve the students in this kind of mode, and again, it needs to evolve. I'm not saying that many people say that, is it easy? Yes, it's easy. Many people say that, is it difficult? I say difficult if you are not planned. Because when we all started our careers, at least for me, 31 years back, and this is not the way I have teaching initially with the engineering graduates. And subsequently, you can see sitting in front of my uh, all-in-one computer in my university, I could able to deliver the lectures across the globe, not only in India, across the globe. So this kind of a change, but it is putting a lot of pressure on me. And 10 to 11:30 there is a session here, and 12 to 1:30 there is a session today again, and again 2 o'clock to 6:30 there is a session with triple IT faculty. So many of you must be thinking that yeah, Assam hai. No, it's not that. But what I'm trying to say, I think this is the contribution as the teacher we can do to our own teaching community. Okay, not only the teaching community, even the students also could be part of that. So this is an important challenge for all of us has to have it. So that is the first objective, is how to improve the way. The second important objective, which I often used to say, that you know very well that Government of India started the books program around 6 years back. They are also looking for faculty members to get associated with that one. Many faculty members, not only the course coordinators. Course coordinator means the head of the department. Only head of the department cannot do their work on their own. The entire team has to work. So they are also looking for serious faculty members, for good subject experts to get associated in this moment. That is about this teachers component. The students component also, excellent courses are now available. Now, as per the new educational policy, now they are going to fix the 40% of the credit students can earn while opting for these Swayam courses. What means if you take, if there are 4 courses are being offered in one semester, and if there are good courses are there, at least 2 courses students can take. That means only 2 courses we are going to teach. But it's not only taking the courses and getting the certificate or earning the credits, but how do we take the advantage of those courses which is being offered by our own University of Hyderabad, our triple IT, our IITs, and many institutions are there. So how do the students know what is important? In most of the cases, what it looks like, okay, and I don't know whether they have been saying like this. When I was studying, my teacher used to say, first of all, pass the paper, बाद में देखा जाएगा. मुझे पहले तो समझ में नहीं आता था कि बाद में क्या देखा जाएगा. So what is important is while studying itself, you should acquire all the skills. You should acquire all the competencies for the application mode and all, both concept as well as application. Baad mein, nothing that is baad. Again, we had to go back to all the basics and do the need for. Now that's the requirement of the institutions, that's the requirement of the employment agencies also looking seriously for that. So these are the two important objectives on which my session will be, because the blended learning environment has certain components where which can be used for the MOOCs development also. So unfortunately, what happened? People are looking these two things so differently. So I'm not saying that there are certain commonalities are there on which how do we take up that. Friends, I think this is the background on which I'm going to talk about this. Let me sharing my screen with you all. And I have make a small presentation also for you. And this presentation I will be showing. Uh, so the title of my presentation, as it has been said, it's building the competencies in blended learning environment, a step-by-step approach. As already I have explained enough while giving my introductory talk about the blended learning approaches, about the scenario, and the importance of the blended mode is important. And why I said it's a step-by-step approach means there are a lot of steps need to be done, lot of dots need to be connected. It is not a overnight job saying that no sir, I'm having a Moodle, I'm having a Google Classroom, I'm doing this, because it has to be planned. Because like in our classrooms, all students are not of having the same learning styles. There are some slow learners, there are some average learners, there are some gifted learners, there are introverts, there are extroverts. And language is still, unless and until I speak in this part in my classroom, unless and I speak a little bit of mix with Hindi and English, I can't. Even yesterday, I got a call from in the afternoon session. I was told, kindly mix up in such a way that 70-30. Then somebody jokingly saying that, sir, is it the coffee or chicory? Is it the 70% to be there or 30%? यार नहीं डॉक्टर साहब आप 70% हिंदी में बोलिएगा 30% अंग्रेजी में बोलिएगा और अंग्रेजी को इस तरीके से मोल्ड कर लीजिए this is all I really enjoyed. Ultimately the point is that message should go loud and clear. Language is only a communication channel as such. Let me come to the first practical implementation of how I have been teaching, and this part which I've been doing for quite some time. So look at this portal. I think if you have little time, and I request all of you kindly open in one of your tab the link which I had given. You please type that link, profksrinivas.in. I'm just giving you 1 minute time. Just glance it from top to bottom. Just type it, Prof. Case. Let me see that that site is working. I think so. Yeah, it is working. Now I request all of you kindly just glance it from the top to the bottom. And this is where I am going to start talk about. And those of you who glance it, kindly share in your chat box. Yes. Just glance for 1 minute. Don't open and just write it. Open the site, glance it from top to the bottom, and say yes in the chat box. I'm watching your chat box here. And those of you watching this one through video streaming also can able to check the. So, okay, let me come back to the talk. What it is visible on your screen when you open it. It looks like a website kind of a thing with several links are visible on your screen. Okay. And if you click on the several links, it opens the multiple links also. And you must have noticed one thing, that nowhere you find there is no assessment kind of a thing was there. Nowhere you find any specific activities are being given here. Nowhere you find any doubt clarification, doubt clearing components are there. It's only just information sharing kind of a thing. This is one of my important component of my regular teaching, learning, and assessment activity. What is this one? This is this method. This is one of my component. Please try to understand, which I am using for my teaching, learning, and assessment process to engage and interact with my students outside the classroom environment. Outside the classroom environment. Outside the classroom means once they complete my class, that means before attending class, means here I am talking about the face-to-face classroom. And it could be also virtual classroom also. So this platform which I'm saying, which could be useful for that purpose. Okay. But you must have noticed that then I used three important words. Sir, all the resources are visible there and resources were tagged nicely. But there is no activities, there is no assessments, there is no interaction kind of a thing to clear the doubts of the students and so on and so forth. So this part, that means I'm using a model, I'm using a tool called Moodle, which is facilitating me to engage, interact, motivate, and conduct with my students for the outside the classroom. But what type of students? There are two types of learners I'll be dealing. Number one, my own students, and whom I am going to interact for 6 months, one full semester, both inside the classroom and as well as the outside the classroom. The second set of learners are the learner colleagues like you, whom I will be interacting for 90 minutes, or in some cases, I'll be interacting for 1 full day or 2 full days. That's all, not more than that. But what is the difference between these two people? The difference between these two people is, for example, if you look at the general, learned colleagues, generally the people are looking for the PPTs. People are looking for some reading material. That's all, not more than that. Okay. So for them, this is enough. I'm not going to. So what is the difference here? I'm not going to monitor their progress after going through this material. Neither I am conducting any assessments, nor I am conducting any activities, nor I am clearing the doubts of them after my class is over. Understand carefully. But whereas in my students, whom I am teaching for a semester, whatever the paper there, so they will be interacting with me inside the classroom. I'm talking about the pre-COVID time. So they will come to class, and weekly they have one session or two sessions, one theoretical session and one practical session of 2.5 hours duration. And beyond that, they will be using this. So what is the difference between the general user and my student? Every student, and for the general users, I gave a preference as a guest to my site. So they can come to my site as a guest and access the material, download it, and so on and so forth, and they can able to use it. Whereas my students, and they get enrolled into a specific course with the specific objectives. The format was clear, the instructions are clear, and the expectations are very clearly mentioned. Three important things: the format, the expectations, and the instructions were clearly mentioned to all of them. That is one part. Second part is, since I'm talking about the expectations means before they come to my class, before they attend my face-to-face classroom, there are certain things which are expected. They should have completed that. And once my class is over, I will leave them some work to be done before they come for the next class. So those are all the things will be shared with the students on this platform. And not only the reading material will be available over there, the reading material in terms of video, audio, text, so on and so forth. And there is a collaborative learning environment was also be available there, so that the doubts of the students will be answered in a near real-time basis, and more so it is in collaborative in nature. That's one point. Second thing is, there are several activities and assessments I can conduct with my students, motivate them, to engage them, and to and these activities will be supported by my theoretical classroom things. Okay, now come back to, so this is the platform which is used for that purpose as such. So then second very important point is, I could able to monitor the progress of my students. That is one of the USP of using this such kind of a platform. So for them, it's not like accessing of the resources. Accessing of the resources is very beginning part. But simply accessing the resources or reading, going through the video for 10 times and simply sitting idle, which I'm always encouraging them to be part of the activity-based learning rather than a passive learning kind of a thing. Like, I generally go to the class with complete preparation. And of course ensure that the students also to come. So this is one of the important competencies that teachers has to learn, which is an integral part of our blended learning environment as such. So it is a tool which is being facilitated. But what is important for us, I think just now, I think one of your head of the department is mentioning before startup. She said, "Sir, I am started using this platform and I'm enjoying it." So that's a very good sign. And this is a free open source platform which is being providing all sort of things which can be done. So my students will be getting enrolled into the course with a specific credentials, whereas the guests who are coming to the system, which be having without any credentials, they could able to access the material. But the difference in this case is, so they are not part of any activities, assessment, and kind of a thing. Similarly, there are in my university, we are using our this NIPA learning management system for MPhil, PhD, or other any courses. Also, there is one Government of India program on the school leadership, which NIPA is being anchoring that, where we are using the same similar platform in a larger scale. So why I want to say this one is, it is available in Hindi, English, Marathi, and Kannada, and of course it's a platform which is having that much capability to do the needful as such. One of the interesting question people generally used to ask is that, sir, these things you said so nicely. Is it difficult, and is it easy to do that? I always used to say that to become a perfect teacher, perfection cannot come on one day. Okay, I'll tell you one interesting thing, anecdote here. When I'm a born Hyderabadi. When I come to Delhi a long years back, my Hindi was totally different. I used to speak the Deccani style Hindi, and people used to laugh at me when I speak. But I still enjoy the way I speak, only with my friends. And once I went to ministry, one of the person, and they used to call me some bolke bole saab. I used to say that why they are saying bolke bole, the way I love it. Still, I love to speak that. Then they said, this is the way these people, and since then, it's almost talking about 42 years back story. And almost daily reading out the newspapers, following what the people, how the words will be spelled, and so it took little time and energy, and again passion. When the requirement comes here, 90% of the files, you can't see the files here. There are around 10 to 15 files are piled up. 95% of the files were written in Hindi. So now it's become a part of the life. Unless and until I speak to my wife and my mother or my kids, everything was done. So I never thought, thinking that I've been speaking a language which is not different. Why I gave that example here is you had to commit yourself to become an expert. So it's not a magic wand that automatically. So you should be having a good logic of a computer, ultra sensitive sonar airs, and so on and so forth, which is being there. Uh, so what is the need of the hour? The need of the hour is adapting the change. How quickly you adapt the change. See, doing a monotonous job is there, already there. But what is important for us is, and you became a torchbearer. And I think many of you must have read the book by Dr. Spencer Johnson. If you have not read it, kindly read it now. And it's a wonderful book, which is talking about the change management. Uh, so what is important is, and current scenario is best ground where we can do many such things. It will be done. Uh, this COVID has brought some nice, many things has brought to our notice. A few of the things which I just want to flag it in front of you. There are five important challenges. There are so many challenges which are there, but again, the more the challenges you face and the more stronger you are. First and foremost thing is about teachers have no prior online teaching experience, even though they must have attended orientation programs, refresher programs, and so on and so forth. Suddenly, they have not, prepared mentally. How do we take it? Because it is our responsibility. I think this kind of orientation programs are very much need of the hour. Again, I am telling you one thing: don't conduct a program for the sake of conducting the program. Rhetoric is always good, but what is required is how do we convert that concept building into practice, and what kind of support is being extended. That is more important. So that's the reason I started one more small innovation in my programs. I think some of you must have attended my programs. You must have realized that something like extending the hand holding through this WhatsApps or Telegram groups or Google groups for at least 30 more days after the program is over. It is a little pressure on the resource person. But what is important, what I've noticed, that if you create this kind of a platform, and then the faculty members started enjoying it, and they are starting to deliver. What is happening is, when we talk about these things in this kind of a platforms, everything looks possible, everything looks feasible. But what is more important to me, that once we start implementing that, there we required a support of not only the resource person, support of the others also. In this process, yes, the second problem, there are yeah, Nagapurnima, any doubt? Yeah, okay. And I think you have been asking something, I thought maybe. Okay. Second point is a lack of enthusiasm to learn the new methods and techniques. There are some teachers. I'm not saying it's a teacher's fault. Let's look at the orientation part. Why there are excellent teachers in a conventional classroom teaching, and why they are, even I must tell you one interesting thing. And one of the question people used to ask me every now and then in the workshops is, sir, once the COVID is gone, are we going to use the same? I said, COVID jaane ka to koi naam nahi le raha hai, number one. And we don't know that how long this will continue. So the process which has been started definitely requires an improvement. And we all need to gear up, and this should use in a blended mode without any difficulty as such. So the second, so why some of the faculty members are not showing the enthusiasm and doing a typical rudimentary kind of a things. So that is important to identify, and we need to correct. Third thing, some of the faculty members are still not convinced about the quality of delivery in assessments. Yes, the answer to this question is, I'm completely agree with those faculty members. Classroom teaching is the best, no doubt about it. Pen and paper examination is the best, no doubt about it. Lab work, without lab work, no student is going to learn. Absolutely agree. But is the environment is congenial? Why the parents wish to send their children to the university when the situation, because we are all afraid of, because we have seen the several things. So what I'm trying to say that whatever the best possible way we could able to plan it, we should do that. I'm completely agree that face-to-face classroom is the only best, but the situation was not congenial enough. So we should have a plan B. So what is whether the plan B is, I have mentioned you initially in my introductory comments that what the students are looking for, what the faculty members are looking.
Some internet issue.
Yeah, some technical thing. Sir will join back. Let us just wait. Meanwhile, if any queries, you can post here and you can browse through the website Sir gave us.
I think he's back.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's back.
Purnima is sharing the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, sir is there.
His voice is not audible.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, can you please close this? Sorry, there was some something which has been clicked over there. Yeah.
No issues, sir. Thank you.
And yeah, right, friends. So the third important aspect is about how do we take those people who are still not convinced about the quality of delivery in assessment. One of the best bet could be our blended mode of teaching. Okay, so that with this blended approach, you can take them to the confidence, and you can show them what best can be done. And fourth important, which is very important, is the institutional support and the culture which need to be built into the system, because generally that is there in many cases, but that needs to be emphasized and allow the people to be more proactive and support. And the last but not the least, the poor technological infrastructure, which is of course which the government of India under the new educational policy is also highlighting much comfortable. Because since I have talked about a lot about this blended learning, let's look at from the NEP perspective, the new educational policy 2020 perspective, how what is being said. If you look at the highlighted portion, which I read, while promoting the digital learning and education and the importance of face-to-face in-person learning is fully recognized. Accordingly, different effective models of blended learning will be identified for appropriate replication for different subjects. This was there in NEP, page number 62 of NEP 24.4. So there is an enough emphasis was there on the new educational policy. But what is important. There are two things like action plan. So what is the action plan? Action plan means the first point of the action plan is, first of all, we had to orient and train our faculty members, and to tell them that what is the best possible way. Even the education administrators also need to be trained, and what is the advantage of using such kind of a models, and how do we go about it. The objectives are very clearly drawn in this year. We want to make the learning impactful, engaging, interesting, and challenging for the learner. I think if you want to make the learning impactful, engaging, interesting, and challenging, so the teacher has to prepare. So because here there are both students and our teachers are also, respected teachers are also sitting over there. This is what I just want to say, that so how do we make our teaching impactful? How do we make our so simply it's not providing a nice lecture of 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. But again, that lecture was supported by something before the lecture or afterwards, which we need to drive towards them, towards the to the implementation part of it. And that's where we want to look into this part of it. It's basically a blending. Blend means not cutting the syllabus to 60-40, 70-30, 90-20, 90-10 kind of a thing. It's the blending of the experiences that matters a lot. Blending of the teaching learning experiences. And here I'm not using the word called online and offline kind of a thing. I'll use two different words. One is in-class learning experiences and out of the classroom learning experiences. So the blending should happen between the in-class learning experiences and outside the classroom learning experiences. You all know very well that it's a typical instructional methodology which is being there for quite some time. Now it is the need of the hour. We had to adopt this, and with a proper balancing and blending between these two things. Many of us are being using it, and sir, I'm using Google Classroom, I'm using Canvas, I'm using Moodle. But whether the blending has been done between these two things, that's where we want to see. If at all, if you want to do the blending part, what is going to be explored here. Yes, YouTube lectures are one kind, definitely. But here, madam, I just want to add something here. YouTube has an excellent lectures are there, but YouTube lectures need to be connected with the classroom teaching. It generally, we used to provide the material after the classroom. And what we want to say, that whether your own lectures of like self-recording or the recorded by somebody else, what is important to me, that these two things should be facilitating the students to learn. Now coming to look at the terms, while explaining the terms, I'm going to explain in detail. What are the constituents of this in-classroom learning experiences? In-classroom, true. In-classroom learning experiences. The in-classroom means we are all typically aware, and we have been teaching for quite some time, where the classrooms and as well as the labs also, where physical presence of the students and teachers are there, and the experiences, but they are not limited to this kind of experiences. Number one, teachers' explanations, and of course demonstrations, and the third important thing is about the large group activities like brainstorming, discussion, small group activities like group work, problem solving, experiments, and so on and so forth. But so this is about the in-class, the activities, the kind of activities which we can able to do with the in-classroom learning activities. Now coming to the next part is about the out of the classroom. I think whatever our faculty members are writing in the chat box is being part of that outside the classroom only. Okay. So the out of the classroom learning refers to all the activities outside the classroom and lab with non-physical presence of students, including but not limited to the experiences such as accessing the resources with or without digital devices. This is the first important thing one has to understand. Not only necessarily they should use the digital devices, like for example, accessing, reading the books, newspaper, journals, PDFs downloaded and printed, videos downloaded on your devices. Now, of course, audio files. यहाँ तक तो ठीक है. Then web pages, e-books, journals will be, of course, without the digital devices. And getting involved in interaction with peers and community, like online collaboration. Now I'm going to show you some of the online collaboration tools and online assessment tools, online group projects with classmates outside the classroom, visit to workshops, offices, and surrounding, and so on and so forth. So, but the point is that so there are two important components we are looking here. One, engaging the students inside the classroom when the teacher's presence is there, and it could be an online class also where physical presence of the virtual presence of teachers and students will be there. But what is more important to me, the outside the classroom, out of the classroom learning experiences. So the blend demands the coordination between these two things. It's not simply sharing the PPT outside the classroom, but it's not. So here actually we will be talking about the concept should be understood to all of them. The pedagogies are very important. The resources are very important, and so on and so forth. Many things are being made part of the thing. So, so this is what I've been talking about. If the faculty, if this kind of things need to be implemented, both for the faculty and students, what is important is, number one, they need to understand the blended learning and its ecosystem. It's not like simply sharing of the resources. No, it's not simply. So whatever it is being taught, because we all know very well that I need not to COs, POs, and PEOs, which is course objectives, program objectives, and other things are very much part of that. So whatever we have been doing, it needs to be mapped. I must tell you one interesting thing. 2 years, we are all teaching in an online environment. I think definitely the next cycle, when the NAC accreditation used to happen, definitely there will be a scope for the people like us. We are proposing that there should be some component which need to be measured. How do we know that whether people are claiming that, sir, we have conducting these things? So how do we know that whether they are conducting, and whether what is the quality parameters are there, how the innovations are being doing, and all so on and so forth. Like you must have seen that somebody mentioning the H5P component in this. So it's a tool which is facilitating the interactive assessments and so on and so forth. And second point is about the pedagogies. So there are so many pedagogical approaches are available which are supporting the blended learning environment, which need to be understood. Third thing is about the resources, and not necessarily 100 pedagogies are going to be at least support with the two pedagogical approaches like flipped classroom. Second one is learner-centric MOOC kind of a thing. At least two pedagogical approaches need to, so that the more we give, the people more get confused about that. There's a simple techniques are there can be done. Coming to the resources, because we require resources are very much required for this blended learning approaches. They could be core resources, or they could be supplementary resources. Some resources you can create on your own. Some could be only demonstration purpose. Some could facilitating the learning of the learners. Okay, and use the simple and easy to use the tools like Slideators, like Screencast-O-Matic, like OBS Studio. These are all the simple things which need to be part of our system to learn it. Similarly, some demonstration tools like for example, if you have implemented the Moodle as a blended learning component, the faculty has to prepare simple 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes of the demonstration videos, and explaining the process, that how exactly the process needs to be done, and not only for the content, even for to completing the assessments and to participating in the discussion forum, and can be used. Yes. Coming to the Genomio, there is some good question was asked. Moodle can be used in two different ways. Number one, if you have your own infrastructure, you can download the Moodle, which is the free open source learning management system, install it, configure it, and every faculty can use it. But the best option could be you can get registered yourself into a site called genomio.com. If you visit the site genomio.com, and you can get registered a free cloud-based Moodle learning environment where students can access within the campus and outside the campus also. It's a wonderful tool. It's a free open source tool, and it can be worked perfectly all right. And even though I'm having my own learning management system, but I'm more comfortable in using that. So, and fourth important thing is, so how do we measure the student learning outcomes? So the teacher must be having a plan of action. Similarly, the students also must be having a plan of action. And there is a one myth that is going on. I guess still I call it as a myth, saying that students are copying, students will do this kind of a thing. See, I never doubted. The point is that it's new to them, it's new to most of us also. But what I'm trying to say, instead of taking that kind of view, let's take a middle path. And in some universities and institutions, they have so much controlling has been done. And even browser also, if you move an eyelid from left to right, also the browser is not allowing you to move further. I'm totally against the policing business, because these things need to evolve. And the moment we start trusting the system will definitely trust to us. And many a times people say that nahi, wo kar rahe. And don't you think so that in pen and paper this kind of things are happening? And of course, don't we have that kind of a competency? Like, for example, we took around 5 assessments. In one assessment, he scored 100 out of 100. In remaining 4 assessments, he got only 20, 30, 40. So, my point is that we can take a view that how best can be done. The fifth point is interaction. So how best we can interact with our students when the students are within the campus, they're coming to the classes. And again, for the outside the campus also, these tools, the learning management systems are having. But these things should be in place, understand carefully. They are not suddenly cannot evolve that. And whatever you are planning, the teachers must have a understanding. Even same thing with the students also. Now, the last but not the least, I'm talking about the ICT tools for blended learning. There are several tools which we can use it. We have been using most of them. Let me take a minute to explain to you. These tools were segregated into several parts, like synchronous learning tools, asynchronous learning tools, collaborative learning tools, content development tools, sticky notes tools, shared document tools, concept mapping and mind mapping tools, comprehensive activity tools, interactive presentation tools, summative assessment tools, and formative assessment tools. Most of the things, and many of you must be thinking that yaar ye koi naya cheez padha rahe, aisa kuch nahi. You must have traveled on Uber or Ola for the last several years. We never know that suddenly a day before yesterday only I was traveling to one chauraya, which I been traveling, passing every day, morning and evening. Suddenly, when I was sitting on Uber, when I'm just crossing the chauraya, the Uber automatic system is saying, sir, हम अभी सौतेला चौराया पार कर रहे हैं. उधर देखा यार, पता नहीं ये आवाज, मीठी आवाज कहाँ से आ गई. So they said, I asked the driver that what is the name of this chauraya? He said, sir, Sotela Chauraya. What is the Sotela Chauraya? It was the name. And the Google knows it. So my point is that I know the Chauraya for so many years, but it was named. Okay. So for the blended learning also, why I begin giving this example is there are many tools which we have been using it. But I'm just segregated those things which you need to understand well. First one is about the synchronous learning tools, the Zooms, Jitsi, which is a free open source synchronous learning tool, Google Meet, Cisco WebEx, Microsoft Teams. What is important is it's not only that teachers understand how the students need to get associated in this kind of a thing. I'm little not convinced still that some of them are providing some content sharing mechanism, content management system. See, the learning management system purpose is different, and simply sharing a content management system is also different as such. Second point is the asynchronous learning tools. This Google Classroom is one such classic example. Moodle, Canvas, these three are free open source things, and Edmodo, Blackboard, and so on are there. They are the proprietary things, but the free open source tools are best. Again, the same thing here. So not only the teacher, the students also need to understand, follow a benchmark format, and follow the instructions carefully. So give a standard instructions to the students so that they could able to use it much easily, because no two courses should be different. Content wise they may be different, but the format wise, the instructions wise, the expectations, while there should be a standardization need to be made to use this kind of a things. Coming to this formative assessment tools, very simple tools are available. I think most of us may be using this kind of a thing. Uh, yeah, there is a question on Canvas. See, Canvas is independent on what I'm talking about. Canvas Cloud. See, I'm not talking about the canvas to be installed on the local computer. If the canvas can be put on, you can use the cloud based. It is compatible with any one of the things. The next important tool which I am convincingly used, and which is very important for collaborative learning and working, is sticky notes tools like the Jamboard. The Jamboard is now part of the Google Meet family. Jamboard is part of the typical Gmail. So, which is being given a collaborative platform where a nice canvas can be given, and we can all work into that one much easily and effectively. Apart from the Jamboard, which is part of our family, and Idea Flip and Lenoit also some of the tools which could be very much useful for this purpose also. You understand now, slowly and steadily I've been taking you to the ICT tools which are going to be part of which is going to be part of our regular day-to-day life in future. Now the shared document tools like Google Docs, Google Sheet, and Google Slides. I think you must have noticed that when you access professorksrinivas.in, majority of the content I'm using the Google Drive only. So I'm started using the Google Drive, OneDrive, and Dropbox. So I think this is again one of the important competency, not from the teacher point of view, even from the student's point of view also, how to effectively use it. Stop sharing, stop keeping the sharing in desktop, C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, and G drive. Put everything into the drive, and there's again another question comes. People often used to say that, sir, can we rely on that? Of course, I have been using the last almost so many years. I never put any data on my local computer. Everything is in my drive only. It's working. It's working. And by chance, it could not work. I'll tell you that example also. So, and what for your teacher? So, by chance, the PPT is not working. My class will not stop. Of course, this specialized environment like this, it's okay. But in a typical classroom, if there is no power and there is no PowerPoint also, we delivered and we are still delivering it. Okay. So the point is that these things will facilitate, but they cannot replace the teacher. Understand here. Teacher cannot be replaced, and teacher is such a tool. So we need to sensitize, motivate, train, and support our teachers. That's very, very important as such. Coming to the another nice concept mapping and mind mapping tools. So like Miro, Google Drawing, Concept Board, Google Bubblers. These are all some of the tools which will facilitate a very nice concept mapping can be created, mind mapping can be created, which can be used very extensively in our blended learning environment. And of course, something like the comprehensive activity tools like Padlet. We started doing it. At least if you want to develop a good blended learning course within the department like chemistry, physics, geology, and our social sciences, this kind of a tools are very much helpful, and to do the needful like Padlet, Miro, Whimsical. And what the tools which I have been talking about are general tools, and where the learning curve is almost a flat kind of a thing. I put the same thing on the sheet. So one of the important requirement to make your course in blended to be successful is implementing these things. And implementation of these tools require two-pronged strategy. Number one, have a concept understanding and request the resource persons or the teachers itself when somebody is already, because in your institutions you have a good number of people are there already trained and they could able to use it. So what is important, they need to demonstrate, and demonstration always should be happen with giving them some task. I always try to give a task of developing a 2 weeks blended learning course with 4 topics of your subject choice. So I used to ask them that provide overall planning, and second thing is planning for implementation also. What are the points where the implementation is required, and how you are planning for overall? And every participant is expected to submit a valid proof of evidence. You try to understand that it's not. This is the way if you could able to assess. So whenever I conduct a workshop, I used to give this assignment like develop a 2 weeks course or a 4 weeks course covering around 4 topics or 5 topics. And you are supposed to teach in a blended mode. That means in classroom learning and outside the classroom learning. Fine. So what is important? So you have to focus on the 6 important aspects like how do you what are the aspects to be considered while designing your course. What about the content? Okay, how much percentage of content need to be developed, and how much percentage of the content can be fetched? Because the open educational resources are there, excellent tools, and the digital initiatives of Government of India is already available there. Like apart from this, the TED Talks and so on and so forth, good quality content is available in the public domain. We should know where to take that. The third thing is about the delivery platforms. That means we are using 2 delivery platforms in the blended learning. Number one, inside the classroom and inside the lab. So the students are there. And outside the classroom, we are using a tool called Google Classroom, Canvas, Moodle, so on and so forth. So before using the platform, we should be having a complete, thorough understanding. Both conceptual understanding and practical hands-on understanding is very much needed. Only theoretical understanding will not solve the purpose. Yes, theoretical understanding will push the faculty, will push the students to start using it. Fine, that's okay. But practically, when you start doing it, then we can innovate it. Innovation is the key. Otherwise, simply whatever the way it is being explained is not needed. Next point is about the transaction. How do you transact this paper in a blended learning environment? Because not necessarily everything will be in a teacher driven. There is a self-study mode is also. While self-study mode, I talk about the moderated self-study mode, controlled self-study mode, where the teacher involvement was very much there. Not to leave the student. Every student is not having a equal learning styles. So we can do that. Coming to the next point is about the assessment. What type of assessments can be planned and how do we go about it? What are the activities? These assessments and activities should bring the inherent capacity of the student, not like to show them that यार बेकार है, इनको तेरे को समझ में कुछ भी नहीं आ रहा है. वो कहना बहुत आसान है. And saying somebody that you don't know, it's very, very easiest thing. And taking at least 1% of that. Again, in this context, I quote one of the famous quote of Adi Shankaracharya. He said, "Srishti mein koi dosh nahi hai, apne drishti mein dosh." He always said that there is no difference in the mother nature. What is important is the way you look into that. We have excellent teachers in this country. We have excellent students in this country. All are very good. And because I have been interacting with them, starting from the sciences, social sciences, humanities, engineering, medical, almost all of them, I could able to see a wonderful. What is important is when we are introducing any new concepts like this. So we need not only we are training our faculty members, we need to train our students also creating this kind of a thing. But one important thing one should keep in mind. technology is not a miraculous cure for all educational ailments. One thing which is keep in mind. So what is important is the effectiveness of the technology is directly proportional to the competence building and building the competency, intent, and attitude. So only aptitudinal building will not solve. The attitude building is also very important. Many a times I started listening to this kind of a things like, sir, यहाँ ये नहीं चल रहा है, हमारा ये support नहीं मिल रहा है, ये हमारे net नहीं चल. No, you all know very well. We are all facing that music. What I told you just now, around 10 minutes back, I'm having 3 classes and 2 meetings. 3 classes and 2 meetings. I'm not repenting. I'm feeling it's a privilege given to me by Goddess Saraswati to be like this. So everybody cannot be a teacher, friends, understand carefully. Everybody, and it's teaching is a noble profession. Everybody cannot be a teacher. I'm not saying that it's not a qualification. So even starting from our childhood, our mother is the best teacher, our father is the best teacher, and we are learning from many things from the mother nature. Okay. And now you see that earlier we used to give a lot of handshakes and so on and so forth. Now we are confined to namaste, thanks to Corona. And we used to wash our hands and legs and before coming inside. Now we have been religiously doing. We stopped eating outside. We are wearing the mask and maintaining the social distance. So these are all the things which we are learning. We have started learning. Same thing I'm talking about the technology also. Technology is a facilitator. Technology is an enabler. But what is important is a teacher which is going to use, even the students who are, we are the important people which is going to be done is very important as such. So what is envisaged in the context of blended learning in the context of the 21st century? We as a teachers cannot compete with World Wide Web. Even the same thing I'm telling to the students also. Many times students used to say that, sir, ye dekhiye Oxford ka, Harvard ka, Yale, King's College. So everyone is good because I've been training topmost institutions even across the world. I'm saying that the kind of flexibility we are all enjoying, nobody's enjoying over there. They are all excellent people, excellent institutions they have been doing. But their own requirements are different and our own requirements are different. Okay, as simple as that. So my point is that teachers need not compete with the World Wide Web. And of course, second point is they stop transmitting the knowledge. Instead of that, they can drive them in such a way that the students can assimilate the information through appropriate and timely practices. That means the teacher has to encourage the students to move from the push mode of a learning to the pull mode of a learning. That is what we are talking about. The educational policy is also talking about the learner-centric environment. So teacher classroom is very integral part. No course will be successful. I can vouch. Of course, people are talking about robots are going to teach, but next minute, what language word which I'm going to use, nobody you can't predict me. मैं हिंदी भी बोल सकता हूँ, तेलुगु भी बोल सकता हूँ, उर्दू भी बोल सकता हूँ, पंजाबी भी बोल सकता हूँ. So my point is that robots are definitely helpful, but at the same time, there is a human being like a teacher who developed that robot. What is important for us is not the technological things and how those things are going to facilitate, guide, enable, and to be a co-learner. This is the important role which we are going to have it, especially in the context of blended learning environment as such. Look at this picture, which is talking about. Yes, the first mode, of course, we call it as a centralized learning, or we call it as a push mode of a learning. And this is being there, and this will continue for many more years. But what is important now the current generation of, this is what I've been talking about when students and the parents are also looking for, when you are doing a 3 years of graduation, 4 years of engineering, or 5 years of medical, the concept building should be there. Apart from the concept building, they are also looking for the application knowledge, which is, and hands-on application knowledge is very, very, very important. Whether you are doing a sciences, social sciences, humanities, engineering, any discipline you take, So what is important to me that the teachers has to set up that kind of an environment. It cannot happen automatically. Okay, of course the syllabus are there. Many times faculty are complaining to me that sir, our syllabus and curriculum was very outdated. Fine, it is outdated, you know it. But who is stopping you to talk about the latest advancements in the classroom? Is anybody stopping us? No, because every institutions are having, thanks to this autonomous nature, and they have a certain percentage of the syllabus can be put in updated. But not all the places it's not happening. So what is stopping the teachers to teach in this mode? Who is stopping us? So you look at this wagon wheel on the second part, and we encourage the faculty, students to use the good quality, same subject self-paced courses are available. Let them engage it. You know, somebody is asking me a very interesting question to me, saying that when we offer all these things, why should the students listen to us? I said yes, but then we need to acquire that skill. So the teacher is teacher cannot be replaced because of these kind of things as such. So webcastings, public internet, knowledge databases, virtual classes, third-party data, peer-to-peer mentoring, online mentoring, skill assessment. So many options are available. What is important for us that I think, you know, slowly and steadily, this would be any subject you are teaching. This could be the part of the game. Somebody is right now saying that the virtual labs, absolutely. And under digital initiatives of Government of India, you start with the Swayam as excellent archival course content. We can use it. Swayam Prabha, National Digital Library, EPG Pathshala, O Labs. I hope you all have that kind. O Labs, like virtual labs for the higher education, O Labs for the school education. The Amrita University has developed that. And you know, FOSSI, so many options are available. We should try to use it first, then we can orient and let them create an environment that self-study mode, even a guided things can be done much more effectively. Which brings to me one of the famous quote of Albert Einstein. He said, I do not teach anyone, I only provide the environment in which they can learn. So what is important in this context is, you know, setting up of the environment is more important. See, we are all conventional classroom teaching, we set up the environment. Then we move to the online lecturing mode. Fine, it has been started. But online, only giving a lecture and passing on the information through WhatsApp kind of a thing and conducting the test through Google Forms is not the one which we are looking. Everything should be like now the government is giving a lot of emphasis on the virtual labs and but the point is that today it's Corona. Tomorrow, if it is something more than that, the teaching learning process should not be get disturbed and you know, because the moment you get out of the rhythm, then the process is we cannot. So what are the six essential elements which every teacher must have understood, which I have already said earlier, is the first point is strategies for the course plan and design. So if you decided to go for a blended learning environment where in-class learning and outside the classroom learning, before that, first of all, plan what type of how many weeks you are going to teach, how much content you are having. Second point is about the content. How much content you had to prepare. No studios and big video setups are not at all required. And this is again a lot of apprehension. We are not talking about the general public. We are talking to our own students. And the connecting thing is how to upload into the YouTube, how to facilitate the content in the YouTube, and what are the basic things one has to understand while using the YouTube. These things need to be understood. Fetching of the content, excellent content is already available. A team of people has to work along with us so that, you know, for chemistry people, at least, yeah. And 4 or 5 people can come together and try to search the good quality content and to see your internal quality assurance cell. I think these are all the new things which is going to happen, which is going to attach to the IQACs in future, no doubt about it. Then comes to the delivery platform. It is immaterial to me whether you are using a Moodle or Google Classroom or Canvas. but what is the effectiveness you brought while connecting the outside the classroom learning with the in-classroom learning, and the activities are together. That's very important. Course transaction. So before the class, you need to give some task and to them, and with a guided environment. And inside the classroom, you are there. Inside the lab, you are there. Once the class is then we had to leave for some project work, some case-based learning and kind of a thing. So these two things, inside and outside, need to be clubbed together and work. Activities and assessments are very important. And the last but not the least, interactions part. I think I'm afraid of finishing my time as such. So my point is that, just to summarize, there are few things. I just want to take a minute. Srikala, is it okay? I'll just take a 2
Please,
minutes.
sir, please,
maybe
you can take 5 more minutes also.
So what is important, and how do we take up these two things, like technology enhance the teaching learning process? There are a few important points which I just want every one of you has to, and of course the students are also integral part of that. Prepare the institutional policy of technology for teaching learning. Develop institutional website as a learning resource. Okay, like I did, I use only Moodle. It looks like a website for you. It looks a learning management system for my students. Have an online accessible data bank of students and teachers. Very, very important. And at least start with the learning management system. And these are the points which every teacher must understand. Prepare an online teaching learning manual. Okay, so whatever you have learned, at least make a practice saying that, oh, okay, this particular component has taught in the blended mode, and for the to teach blended mode, the outside the classroom, these are the activities and the resources I have provided, and inside the classroom, this is the way it has been done. And develop modalities for e-assessment and start using gradually. See, there are certain formative assessment tools are available. There are certain summative assessment tools outside the learning management system. What is important to me that these things should be made into practice. And if these things are not into the practice, suddenly tomorrow the state government or central government, as part of the NEP implementation strategies, ask us to implement, it creates a big so it's not at all a difficult, like Quizy you can take, Testmos you can take. There are so many tools out there. So let's start implementing these things partly. Like Google Forms, we are not that much comfortable earlier. Now everybody is using the Google Forms, and they created this kind of thing. Develop modalities for collaborative learning environment, whether it could be a Padlet, whether it could be a Jamboard, whether it could be a Miro, whether it could be Whimsical, and at least try to create that. Once you have this kind of environment, tomorrow when you are started using the Moodle learning management system, where the discussion forum is a very integral part of that process. Similarly, when the students are adopting for the MOOCs courses, and this is again part of that. Promote an online teaching learning community to support and counsel each other. So I think create that kind of a academic WhatsApp group where no good mornings, no good afternoons, and no good evenings, and no nonsense forwarders be allowed. Let's try to share the experiences. And that's how the confidence of the everyone will be. Confidence matters a lot. Absolutely. I'm not talking about the face-to-face teaching. I'm not talking about the blended mode or camera-based teaching. Confidence matters. Confidence only will come once you have practically did something on that, and then you could able to visualize it. Last but not the least, publish the best practices of technology-enabled teaching, learning, and regular. That is very, very important. It could be a part of your teaching learning process, and it could be a part of your groups, like something like somebody just mentioned about the Telegram as an option, academic sharing. Absolutely. But what is important is still old habits die hard, and people often are compelled to send. Preaching is most important. But before you preach, you must be a practitioner first. Once you are a practitioner, your throw will be totally different. This is what I can tell you. Only if you are talking about the concepts, it may not work. Once you start implementing this, and initially there are only few takers. Nobody can come along with you. Not necessarily also. Okay. So, but what is important is when you start doing yourself, and your students are your best judge, and students will take you to the places where. And at the same time, while creating the content also, try to confine to the content only to your students, putting it an unlisted point. So once it is an unlisted, and other than your students and yourself, nobody can able to see. That's all, friends. I want to say this during this 90 minutes of my talk. And if you have any questions, comments, other than the one which you put it on the chat box, I'm happy to.
Sir, I think all the questions have been addressed because no more questions are posted in the chat box. I think you've taken up in between your lecture only. So yeah, I think there are no more questions in the chat box.
So I should say thanks to.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It was such a wonderful lecture discussing all the modern age tools. How can we put all these modern age tools into the teaching methodologies? It was such an, you have enlightened us on the much required topic and the need of the hour in the education sector. And how can we, use the blended mode of learning, and how can we use this to help to achieve our goals in education? So thank you so much, sir. I would now like to present a virtual memento to you for this wonderful talk as a token of gratitude. And
thank you very
please
much.
Accept this virtual memento, sir.
Accepted. Thank
you, sir. We have shared the feedback form in the chat box, so all the participants are requested to fill the feedback form. Sir, on this occasion, we have also conducted a competition on portrait making and a quiz. So now I would like to call upon Shrikala ma'am, Vice President IIC, to announce the results of the quiz conducted in portrait making. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you,
I think Shrikala, and can I leave now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all,
I would like to share with you, sir, in a portrait making competition on Sri Abul Kalam Azhar, we got 15 participants with a beautiful handmade drawings, sir, and quotations. Purnima, can you quickly share that?
Yeah, if you can. Yeah, in the 2 minutes
sir,
I have.
It just takes 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, my dear participants, my colleagues, I'm very glad that you are all here, and we are definitely enthused now with the enthusiasm of Professor K. Srinivas. Excitement and enthusiasm, I'm sure they are contagious, and we should keep up and go ahead in this. And on this occasion of National Education Day, apart from Sir's talk, we also conducted 2 competitions, portrait competition on Sri Abul Kalam Azad. Yeah, you can please proceed. We got 15 from post-graduation students and undergrad students. These are all hand-drawn creatively by the students with a quotation on education, as he was our first education minister. Yeah, you please proceed, Purnima. Yes. So these are all drawn by our students, sir. And this will take a beginning for them to move forward, think dynamically. And we are very glad that we have such natural artists in midst of us. Yeah. Thank you. Can you just go to... Yeah, now we have winners. We appreciate everyone who has participated in this and gave their portrait. Still, we had to choose some best. Yeah, Purnima, please go ahead. Yeah, this is third prize is to... I'm not able to see the name. I think this is... MSCS first
K.
year
Rajani
student.
from BSc, MSCS combination.
Yeah, MSCS combination, first year student. Can you read out the name? Here it is not visible.
K. Rajani from
Sir,
BSc.
you can please log out, sir. Thank you for being here, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Next. Yes. Next. Yeah, second prize. Nima, could you please read out the name?
Kulkarni Sejal Sudhir from BSc second year, BSc combination.
Right. Then first prize. Yeah, first prize. This-
Arundhati
Huh.
Chalimila, MSc Clinical Nutrition and Diabetes, first year student.
Dietetics, it is clinical nutrition and dietetics, MSc first year. And just to share, Arundhati got the information in the morning, yesterday morning, and by afternoon she has posted her portrait and beautifully drawn. Once again, I congratulate all the participants and the winners too. You will receive the certificate soon. Now going to the quiz competition. Yeah. On National Education Policy 2020, total 111 has taken part. And we are so glad to announce that 91.9% has scored above 50% in the NEP awareness quiz. That is really highly appreciable. And that shows that they have some knowledge about NEP and how to take it further. Thank you, one and all. It's over to you, Poonam.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I think Neeraja ma'am, I would like to call upon Neeraja ma'am for the vote of thanks, but sir has already left. So
No problem. We should thank him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Poonam. I, on behalf of St.Ann's IAC team and IQAC team, would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all present here. To begin with, I am extremely thankful to our speaker of the day, Professor K. Srinivas, Head ICT and Project Unit, NIEPA, New Delhi, for sparing his valuable time in spite of his busy schedule to enlighten us on the topic building competence in blended teaching and learning. Thank you, sir. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to our principal, Dr. Sister P. Amrita, for permitting us to carry out this event on National Education Day. I thank St.Ann's management for the support rendered. A special thanks to IQAC coordinator, Dean Academics, Dr. Smita Astana, who is the driving force behind all the activities carried out at St.Ann's. I thank IAC President, Dr. V. Venugopal sir, and IAC Vice President and Additional Coordinator for IQAC, Ms. Shrikala, for the guidance and support. I thank coordinators and members of IAC, members of IQAC for the support. I thank all the participants who have joined this session and made it a grand success. Last but not the least, I would like to thank Dr. Poonima, member IAC, Dr. Poonam and Ms. Rupa, member IQAC, our social media coordinator, Ms. Aparna, student volunteers for their help, support in carrying out this event in such a wonderful manner. Thank you all. Over to you, Poonam.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think it was a wonderful session, very interactive. And we would like to thank the speaker and all the members of ISC and IQAC. So I
Poonam,
think
would you just ask the participants to on their cameras?
Yeah, participants, please, if you can switch
Poonam.
on your camera, we will take a photograph. Please, all the participants are requested to switch on their cameras.
I think you have to unshare the slide.
Poonam, stop. Yeah. Purnima, are you taking the